What's going on, everybody? If we're meeting for the first time, my name is Dave, and welcome to Cafe with Dave. And in today's episode, we're going to be talking about probably a topic that many of you can relate to. You're not really quite where you want to be. Maybe you had some ideas in your head about where you would want to be in the past or in the future. You thought about it in the past, but you're not quite there yet. Maybe some of you feel a little bit left behind. So today, I'm going to open up and tell you a little bit about my life and about some of the obstacles that I've had to go through and what I've done to really change my way of thinking. Because I know a lot of you have probably gone through a lot of struggles, have had difficulties, are not where you want to be, and maybe some of you just don't know what to do. So I want to open up and I want to share with you some things that have happened in my life. But first, I need some more coffee. Whew, it's hot. All right, so we're going to go back to the pandemic. That was a fun time. No, it wasn't. Not for me, it wasn't. But anyway, so during the pandemic, and before that, for many, many years, probably since 2012, I have been teaching English online as a second language to business professionals all around the world. So every day I get to speak with different people from different countries. For those of you who do not know, I'm adopted from Paraguay, lived in the States for pretty much all my life, and now I live in Costa Rica. And I have been in Costa Rica since 2008. And I am 41, turning 42 next month. So I have been doing this, teaching English online, and it's great. I love helping people out. I love making a difference. But there's a part of me where financially, that's not really good to get me to where I want to be with some of the goals that I have in my mind. During the pandemic, I bought a property here in Costa Rica, and I always thought to myself, well, how am I gonna, be able to get a loan from down here? Because the interest rates are just horrible. So I thought, okay, well, maybe I should just change my job. And at the time, I was good friends with a friend from high school, and she worked in the mortgage industry with her husband. I know he was making bank. He was making over 100 grand per month. And he was completely fine. And she would do loans here and there. So when we would talk together, we would always, she would just tell me what she was working on and stuff like that. And I'd be like, well, how much are you making from, these houses and, or for these loans? And she said, oh, for this loan, I'm making about, 8 grand, 9 grand, and then I'm working on another one for next month, for about, 10 grand or something like that. I'm like, oh my gosh, dude, like I need to change my career. And so that's what I did. I changed my career back in 2022. It was because I studied for my exam in 2021, took my exam in January and passed it for the first time, 78. So I was very happy. And lots of people don't pass. So I was very proud of myself that I was able to, pass that difficult test. Passed the test, got with the brokerage. In my mind, I thought, okay, people know me. I can work from here in Costa Rica. Occasionally travel back to the States as well. I know lots of people in my parents' church, friends. I'm sure one of them can give me a chance just to throw me a bone type of thing. But that's not what happened. Interest rates were going up. Inflation started to hit at that time. If you look at the charts, pretty much right when I had passed my test and had gotten a sponsorship with the brokerage, that was when everything started to spike. And so lots of people were maybe a little bit nervous. They didn't want to buy. So that brought on a lot of difficulties for me, because with this in particular brokerage, I couldn't have another job. So I pretty much quit my English job. I was working like 5 hours a week. So, wasn't making anything. I didn't have any relationships with real estate agents. I knew some friends, but lots of them, I don't know, they just ghosted me. They didn't really respond back to me. So that was, kicking the pants in some ways. But Anyway, so it got to the point where pretty much at that brokerage, I was put on some kind of like disciplinary act or disciplinary thing where, because I wasn't producing, then I had to make all these calls, which I was doing anyway. But still, I couldn't get anything. And that was very, very discouraging for me because back the previous year, I had in my mind, okay, when I passed the test, I was on cloud 9 when I passed this test. My expectations were like, okay, I'm going to the moon. Financially, I'm going to be better. I'm going to grow professionally in my own career and make an impact in the community, help people and learn. And that's just like literally like what I was talking about. Just what I was talking about. It's what I was thinking about in my head at that time. And, that just wasn't God's plan. So I want to share with you a verse. It's from Proverbs 16:9. It says, "The heart of man plans his way, but the Lord establishes his steps." I thought I had made the right plan, but maybe God was just rerouting me. He was choosing to let me go through this difficult time for a reason, and sometimes that can be it can be difficult. Have any of you ever made a career change and things didn't work out the way that you wanted to? Maybe some of you can relate to me during that time. So that's pretty much stage 1. Stage 2 is when things started to go downhill for me, mentally, emotionally. It was just a rough time, and there was a big struggle with that because there was a financial loss for me with everything that I had saved and purchased the property, which I mentioned before. A lot of money that I had in savings went to that, and so I had a couple grand in my account that I had saved up, and so I was using that. But as time went on, probably I think until August, I didn't close any loans, and I was struggling financially when I thought I was making the best move of my life, when really I was just like, smacking my head against like the wall daily. It seemed like just nothing would come my way. Nothing ever worked out at that time. And it was frustrating because when you go through all that negativity, when you don't have that success, you start believing that you're a failure. You start believing that you were born just to fail. And that's just something that I've always, not always, but just in many ways thought, especially during that time a couple years ago. There was loneliness that I went through at that time by myself, comparing myself to others, hearing people like, oh yeah, this dude just, closed a loan, and this dude got a client, and this dude's, going to lunch with this real estate agent, and, just everything that I tried to do just didn't work out. And I'm not trying to throw a pity party on myself. I'm just telling you how it was. I made 100 calls per day, talking with different people, met some nice people, but business never led to that, and that's okay. It was a good learning experience, but it was just frustrating. So just to deal with not having success with the way that you thought, it can mess with you. It can mess with your head. So maybe some of you have worked really hard at something, and you didn't really see it flourish or have it go anywhere. And that's just life sometimes. You just got to roll with the punches. And but more importantly, you just got to keep your head up. You got to keep your head up during that time. And sometimes that can be really hard. In my case, I live, like I said, in Costa Rica. I live by myself. So I'm away from my family that lives in, Virginia. They're all rooting for me, but just like seeing me not succeed in some ways just kind of, just hit me in a different way, It hit me pretty bad, but, you got to get up and you just got to keep on going. So I want to read another verse from Psalms 13, 1-2. It says, "How long, Lord, will you forget me forever? How long will you hide your face from me? How long must I wrestle with my thoughts, and day after day have sorrow in my heart? how long will my enemy triumph over me? I mean, that was King David at that time. I know he's known for Goliath, killing Goliath and all that stuff, but the dude went through some difficult times, a lot. And looking at this verse, how long will the enemy triumph over me? That enemy at that time was just depression, sadness, loneliness, believing these negative thoughts, which were, you're a loser, Dave. Like, you can't do anything. You can't, but in my mind, I passed my test the first time. And since like a big percentage of these people that take this test don't pass, in my mind, I thought, hey, I'm going somewhere, dude. Like I'm ready. But yeah, so that just, sometimes I felt in many ways God had just turned his back on me, really that wasn't the case, but it just feels like it sometimes. And maybe some of you are feeling that right now, that God has turned his back on you and you're kind of in the in-between trying to figure things out. And, that's like life 101. So I'm like holding this and it's like heavy. So I said like a lot. But maybe some of you, have wrestled with your thoughts about failure, not being where you want to be, feeling left behind. At 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, you just wake up and you're just like, when will it be my day? When will I get that jackpot? Not talking about just money, but just like success and just feeling like you're on the right track. That's happened to me a lot. So hopefully some of you have gone through that too, so we can relate to that. So after that point, with the struggles that I was going through, I hit a low point. I hated life. Just because I just wasn't getting what I thought I would get, and that was difficult. It was extremely difficult to keep my head up during that time. I did a 10-day fast during that time as well. And that was when things started to change in many ways. It was my first time doing a fast. So I know many of you probably think I'm crazy. But I did my fast, and I had prayed that God would just open up some doors and just give me another opportunity, or just give me hope, that he would just show me a way, open doors, closed doors type of thing. And a long story short regarding this, he did answer prayer. I did decide to quit the brokerage that I was working at, and I switched to another brokerage. Still not active. I still have my license, but still it gives me the freedom of being here, and not have to worry about lots of things that I had to do with the previous brokerage. But yeah, so that was a blessing, and God did answer that. What he'll do with my path with this new brokerage down the road, I have no idea what's going to happen. But I have my license. I'm not going to get rid of it, and I'm still well educated in the loan industry, so I'm just not going to give up yet. Just not going to pursue it at the moment. So I had to make the decision to go back to teaching. I had gone through all my savings, and I just needed something to pay the bills. So I had to go back to teaching again, which is something that I didn't want to do because I wanted to move on with my career. I wanted to do something different. I wanted to enhance my career and grow as a business professional. But I reverted. I had to go back, which was not fun. But I know the loan industry, many brokerages, it's just, it's commission based. There is no base salary. And yes, you can make a lot of money depending on where you live and depending on how many loans you close. But I have bills to pay here, so I need something every month. And so just during that time, during the pandemic and shortly after, it just seemed like it was just a difficult time. And I know many loan officers bailed. So if you're a loan officer and you bailed during the industry to do something else, I totally understand. So No hate. Yeah. So during that the loan time, during the low time, like I mentioned with my property as well that I purchased, I had planted things in my property, and it's a property in the mountainous area in Costa Rica. Beautiful view of the Central Valley. There's volcanoes and everything, and so I wanted to plant some banana trees, some palm trees, and yeah, after I planted these trees and I had leveled the the property. Yeah, even after like a year of all that, um, there was just no growth, and there was the only thing that grew on my property was just weeds, or were just weeds. Yes. So yeah, like the only thing that would grow on my property was just weeds. Um, the banana trees would die. The palm trees wouldn't really grow, even though I know they grow slower. It was just, in comparison to what other people have, I know I'm comparing myself, but still, the other property next to me, one of my best friends, he had his banana trees just grow. Even other people were just like, "Why isn't your stuff growing?" I was like, "Dude, I don't know. My property hates me. I don't know." Um, so that kind of, even my own property isn't growing. It just made me also like kind of reflect, like my property, it kind of reflects my life. Like nothing prospers, which is another lie that I believed. um and it hurt. It's just like, just weeds grow, nothing else productive on that property grew. It just seemed like I could relate to that with my life. Like, just nothing productive financially goes from that. I also started another YouTube channel back then as well. And I was like this close of getting monetized, past the 1,000 subscriber base. I also got up to 3,800, I think, in 3,862 hours. So I was like literally that close of going to the 4,000 hours mark in order to apply for the monetization or YouTube partnership program. And yeah, so I didn't get that either. And I had spent like a year and a half on this YouTube channel. And yeah, again, it didn't work. So another verse I want to share with you during this time is Job 14:7. It says, "At least there is hope for a tree. If it is cut down, it will sprout again, and its new shoots will not fail." So this verse reminded me that even dead things can come back to life in God's hands. And I know I'm not dead, I'm alive. But with the whole thought of just being a failure, of not reaching those goals that I had wanted to. Maybe I just didn't put enough trust in God. I don't know. I question a lot of stuff about that, but I just tried through all of this to learn, to grow as an individual through my failures. I think failure is a beautiful thing. It's frustrating, but it's a beautiful thing. And you can use that to impact other people's lives, and also remind yourself, okay, you learned about this and that. Okay, continue, take a minute, take a little breath, get back up, and keep on at it. And so that's what I was thinking, and that's pretty much where I am right now. And I hope that lots of things will change, hopefully, in the future. Many times I have thought that I was being punished, or like I said before, God turned his back on me. Where was he? Why was I having to go through all of this? But yeah, God was reshaping me to be who I am now. And I'm glad I went through all of that, because with all of this that happened, like I said before, taking a little break and getting up and moving on, that's why I wanted to start this YouTube channel. So I am excited, of just being able to be myself. Some other YouTube channels that I've pursued, I've always been just a different person in a way with the information that I've been providing, and I just want to be myself. That's all I want to be. I want you to see me for who I am, and I want you to see me as Goofy Dave, Coffee Dave, Wise Dave, Funny Stupid Dave, whatever. But I just want to be myself, and so this is one of the things that I'm happy about, because I think maybe if I would have had success with other things like that, maybe I wouldn't have ever had the opportunity to just make this channel and try to bring value this way, impact others. I'm 41 years old. I'm not like a 18-year-old life coach, but I've been through some things, and pronunciation is something I need to get better at. But I think I can bring a lot of value because my life is very unique and different in comparison to many others. I live in a foreign country and have been for almost 20 years now. I know what it's like to go through difficult times. I know what it's like to fast, not just for biblical purposes, but also to fast for just because financially you don't have a lot, So there's a lot of things that I think I can bring, to the table. And so I hope that all of you that are watching will find it to be beneficial and take something away from it. So there's another verse that I want to read that's from Romans 5:3-5. Not only so, but we also glory in our sufferings, because we know that suffering produces perseverance, perseverance character, and character hope. And hope does not put us to shame, because God's love has been poured out into our hearts through the Holy Spirit, who has been given to us. I don't like suffering, but I can't deny it changed me. And maybe it's changing you too at this moment with whatever you're going through. And if you're going through a difficult time, tell us about your situation. I'd love to keep you in my prayers. Sometimes it's just you don't feel like people can understand you. Sometimes you feel like you're all alone, but you're not. So if you're ever going through a hard time, just remember you got a friend right here, okay? Remember that. So for those who are going through a difficult time right now, who feel left behind, who maybe feel like you're not just where you want to be right now in life, if you're believing negative things in your head that are not from God and are just, if you're just believing these lies, don't believe them, okay? All of us in this lifetime will learn from difficulties. But just remember, with all the things that you're going through right now, your story isn't over. And as every day goes by, you can take that opportunity to grow. And I'm going to be here for you one sip at a time. I know it sounded cheesy and corny, but it's true. You can make a big change. And it's the most important thing about all of this is keeping your head up through the most difficult times in life. Finding that person who can give you advice. Finding that person who will listen to you when you feel like everyone else is just too busy doing things or you're not important for them. You are. And with time, you will definitely find out that focusing on the future, keeping your head up, and seriously looking to God for advice. Maybe doing fasting like I mentioned, like I did before. Maybe that would be something that could help with your walk and growing as well on a daily basis. I'm going to read one more verse here. It's from Galatians 6:9. It says, "Let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up." So that's my challenge for all of you. Don't give up. Perseverance is key to success. You need to not become weary. And it's normal. It's normal to become weary. It's normal to become like I did, discouraged. But the most important thing out of all of this is to continue, not give up, pursue. I know many of you have probably wanted to give up and have felt weary at some times. I know I have plenty of times in my life. But the most important thing is to not do that. Persevere. Aim to be a master at perseverance, and success will come. And that's something that I'm, learning more in my life as well. Maybe I shouldn't have given up. Maybe I should have, persevered back then. I don't know, but I do know that everything in my life has led me to this point. Drinking this coffee, talking with you, sitting on this couch, hearing my dog pant and walk, everything, you know? So don't give up if you're feeling like it. If anything that I shared today resonated with you, I created a 7-day devotional called When Life Doesn't Go As Planned. It's filled with verses, reflection questions, and journal prompts for those who feel behind or stuck. And you can grab it in the link in the description below. If you've ever felt confused, stuck, discouraged by what God's doing in your life, just remember you're not alone. And more importantly, your story's not finished. God does some of his deepest work in the seasons that make the least sense. I'll see you next time.